め続けたあの日の夜
Welcome back, everyone. This is Degen, episode 81. Today we got a review of Paprika. I'm not sure how you say it. Probably messed that all up, but that's fine. And we also got a little special guest with us today. But before we get into all of that, we always start this out with, the best way to support us is to rate a podcast, tell your friends, all that good stuff. If you have any interesting topics that you'd like for us to discuss, let us know in the Discord, linktree.com/Anime Degens. Also, we're doing watch parties every Friday now. I changed it up. It was every Sunday, but it's going to be every Friday now. We're doing first look watch parties. We just got done watching Oshinoko this last weekend. And so join the Discord. Watch some anime with us. Discord.gg/Anime Degens. And yeah. So Nom, how you doing on this fine day?
I'm doing pretty good. Work's going good. Back's feeling pretty good. Crap, I just jinxed myself. No, everything's going pretty good though. How about you? How are you doing,
Perfect.
Tyler?
Well, it's a beautiful day outside. We had some fun this weekend. We got football coming soon. That's why we had to change the watch party up. And
Yeah, I wasn't gonna spoil it for those listening, but football is more important to Tyler. I'm sorry, chat.
You got me. Football is more important. Shout out to Coach. So,
you mean the Lions?
But yeah,
you're gonna win this year.
Okay. Matt Stafford is gonna lead y'all away, or whoever y'all got. No, it's not Matt Stafford anymore. It's what's his name?
Dan Campbell.
Yeah, whoever.
The
Who
GOAT.
cares? Nobody cares about the Lions.
He's not even the quarterback. Hey.
But yeah, now we get to say hello to our special guest. She's a friend from Threads, Instagram. We've been mutuals for a while. Figured it's about time for her to come on the show and say hi to us. Have a little fun, bullshit with us. And that is Chanime. How you doing?
Thanks for having me, you guys. I'm super excited.
Yeah. So like usual, we always try to let our guests shout out their stuff. Then we do a little Q&A session. Just have a little fun, So now's the time. If you got any like content, your channel, like any of that stuff, give them the good old elevator pitch. Let them know where they can find you, what you're doing, all that good stuff.
Yeah, well, definitely you can find me on Instagram. I'm also on YouTube. I do a lot of anime videos about events in Southern California, Las Vegas, sorry guys, the West Coast area. I do reviews, things like that. If you want to see an anime goddess that was reincarnated into a beautiful YouTuber, definitely check me out.
There you go. And what is your YouTube channel?
It's the Real Chanime, also on Instagram as well, and Threads.
Yeah. And I will have those links in the description. That way, if anyone wants to find them by just clicking, you can find them there. But yeah, it's been a fun time, like watching your videos and stuff, because for me personally, I don't really get to go to like all these anime conventions and stuff because I live in out in the boonies, pretty much. There ain't nothing like that around here. We get like a small anime convention like every year, like once a year. It was fun, but it wasn't anything like what is coming to like the bigger cities. So yeah. So it's always fun to see your videos.
I unfortunately have not had a chance to watch it yet. Tyler's been having me slave away watching Bleach. I get no free time. I get work, and then I have a strict anime schedule that I have to follow by Lord Tyler. You gotta help me, guys, please. I'm sorry. I can't do this anymore.
You blame me, but it's Dan. Dan's the one. I'm not the bad guy.
No, I haven't had a chance to check out your stuff yet, though. But I'm definitely gonna get a chance to when I
appreciate
when I finally get done with Bleach.
But yeah, so we got a couple questions for you, just to kind of let people get to know you a little bit more. So the first one is kind of like, how and when did you first get into anime? We always want to know that.
Not to age disclose because I'm a little old, but I've been watching anime for about over 20 years now. I'm originally from Hawaii, fun fact. So there's a lot of Japanese influence over there. So, when I was a kid, I'd go to the library, read a little bit of manga, Toonami, got kind of into that, and then it just didn't stop from there. And now I've been watching it ever since. That's pretty much all I watch, honestly. That's pretty much how I got into it, just on the culture of my island.
That's basically me too. Like, I used to watch like real TV shows, whatever, a lot. And nowadays, like, I literally don't watch anything but anime. Like, that's all I watch. It's almost all I have time for, because I watch a lot of seasonal stuff. Plus, we do
Right.
a lot of stuff with this podcast, obviously. Like, I just don't have time to watch like real TV shows with it. So, um,
No,
but
the
yeah.
world is life. It's okay.
uh, but speaking of like anime and stuff, like, do you have like a favorite genre, category, demographic, like anything? Well, what's your, if you had to like pick a favorite, which one would you pick?
Oh, ah, tough. I've been into like those high school rom-coms for a minute, but if I had to like just watch maybe one category forever, it probably maybe shonen. Because that's what I started on. Can't really go wrong with that. Sometimes other genres have hit or misses, but yeah, if I had to pick, it'd probably be shonen. That's most of my favorite characters are from shonen too, and everything. So I would say yeah, that'd be my pick.
Yeah, I really love shonen too, but you had me when you said the high school ROMs, because I really enjoy that. I've been enjoying that for a while now. That's kind of my favorite stuff to watch nowadays, just because I'm kind of tired of shonen a little bit, other than like One Piece, obviously. So um
Oh, Nico.
speaking of like One Piece, which is my favorite anime, I think it's probably Nom's favorite anime too, if not close to the top.
You dare put a probable on that? Don't you dare put a probable on the Go piece.
But what is your like, what is some of your favorite anime? You can tell us like your top anime. You can just tell us some of your favorite. It doesn't essentially have to be your top anime. It's just whatever you want to tell us. So
Um, Well, I'm definitely a part of the One Piece cult, so don't worry. Nico Robin's Supremacy, favorite character of all time. But I would say like maybe like my top handful. I like the Ancient Magus Bride. I even bought my first manga because of that show, so I always like to honorable mention that. Um, Black Clover. My daughter's name is Charla, so if you really know, you know. I like Made in Abyss too. It's a little out there, but I don't know. I'd say yeah, that's maybe like my top three. I've watched so many over the years, so that's a hard question for me. But yeah, I'd probably say those.
okay, I mean that's pretty good. I'm also like a big Black Clover fan too, especially like the manga.
Right.
I'm kind of sad that like the anime kind of just like ended slash went on hiatus. I'm not sure what you want to call that, but uh, really sad about that.
I'm
Uh,
kind of sad that the manga actually went on longer publication schedules. That
didn't
hurt too.
didn't they say
Right.
that they was actually like coming back
Considering
to a,
going back to
yeah,
more
yeah,
consistent, more
yeah,
like every 2 weeks, I think, or potentially every week even.
yeah? Because what did they go to, like 6 months?
That's what it feels like. They went
Oh, I
to a
was being
yearly
serious. I was
yearly
being
release.
serious.
No, I think they tried going to, I think, like a monthly release schedule.
Okay.
It was like a 1 month or every 2 months they were going to release a chapter, but it was supposed to be like longer chapters as well to kind of make up for the time. Tell a
Oh,
little bit more, if I remember correctly. I usually don't.
Yeah. Well, you remember better than me, so. um, but I guess another question that we got is it's always a fun question, and I know that you like do a lot of recommendation videos on your channel. So I usually watch them because I'm like hoping to find something that I haven't seen that I think I'll enjoy a lot or whatever, you know.
It'll never
So
happen. It'll never
if
happen.
if if you had to recommend an anime to someone that's new to anime, what would your pick be? What would be your perfect starter anime?
Good question. My perfect starter. I would maybe say, well, I would say One Piece, but that's pretty low. Um,
It's
That's
still
the
good.
correct answer, by the way. That is the correct answer.
that's like the best. You can't, if you start there, you'll finish strong. Maybe
We can
like
continue the show
My
though.
Hero
No.
for me to watch. Not too rough. Kind of get your feet wet.
Which one was it
Would you?
again?
Yeah. Oh, My Hero Academia.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
It's a
I'm,
gentle, easy. Like I think if you like that, then you can kind of venture out and get into some other stuff. Easy storyline. The characters are relatable. Kind of get you motivated. I would say yeah. If you're new to it, or maybe even Naruto. Naruto's cool too.
yeah. They actually have a really good like a really good like starter anime stuff going on there because like not only do you get like the action, right? You get the um like the slice of life vibes too. So and like it gives them a little bit of everything. So but other than that, like Nom, do you wanna I've been asking a lot of questions now, so I guess I need to ask see if you have any questions that you wanna ask.
Well, considering that Chanime has ruined my first question, I will slightly change it a bit, all right?
Wait, which question did she ruin?
Oh,
It's the most important question I ask every single time,
oh,
right? And
okay.
it will be the first question I always ask. That question is, who is your favorite One Piece character?
Oh yeah, she already answered
No.
that
So
basically.
so now I am going to elaborate on that question though. Why is Nico Robin your favorite?
Okay. Well, aside from her just magnificent goddess-like beauty, honestly, I like her character of all the. I know there's like millions, but of all the One Piece characters, I feel like I relate to her the most. Like her childhood trauma, and I just love how her character development. You know what I mean? Plus, she's a little snarky, a little bit of sass. You know what I mean? I really like her character, like of all the characters. She always keeps me going. I look forward to seeing her on One Piece. They need to put more on her, okay, Oda? But okay, yeah. I mean, beautiful inside and out. That's one of my favorite characters for sure. And she's smart too. You know what I mean? You always see her sitting down reading a book and she's chill. Even when they're in like a full panic, she's like off on a chair just reading a book, like, oh, okay, this is happening. You guys got this. No problem. But when they need her, she gets down. Like when Sanji needed her in the Wano, she went like full devil mode and just, handled that chick for him. So yeah, I love me some Nico. Like obsessed for sure.
I
Okay.
guess I guess when you like has when you've seen like O'Hara, right? Um like get that done to you as a kid, like this stuff doesn't phase you anymore, right? Like you're ready for it. You're ready for whatever comes your way. So
No, it's a good choice too. I mean, of the two main female characters, Nico Robin is definitely like the stronger, more mature of the two.
Oh yeah,
So
definitely.
I can definitely see where that's a good choice though. I can appreciate that. I can respect that. I see that you also have definitely a lot of Pokemon stuffies behind you, collectibles.
Piplup.
Uh, who is your favorite?
Oh, Piplup. That's he definitely my favorite. Piplup and Charmander's a a hard second. But yeah, definitely Piplup. He's my favorite. I love his personality on Pokemon. Like sometimes he's chilling out. He's kind of like me, to be honest. Like when he gets angry, it's like full blown. But then when he's cute and want to snack and cuddle, like he does that too. You know what I mean? I love his character. He's super cute. He would definitely be my starter choice if I was a Pokemon trainer.
Okay, okay. Let's just say though that Eevee would be the right choice. Thank you. Eevee is the bestest Pokemon.
Oh no, they're cute too.
Okay. No, that's pretty much all I have though. Tyler usually gets through all the good anime related ones and stuff like that, the ones that get to know you. Mine are usually just silly ones that involve like your background and obviously your favorite One Piece character because everyone's gotta know that. I always put
Got you.
everyone on the spot. I don't care who you are as a guest. I'm forewarning you all now. If you come onto this podcast, you are going to be asked that question. Come prepared.
And one question that Dan usually wants to ask, well, I'm gonna ask for him. I usually been asking for him since he's not here. Who is number 3 of the Straw Hats, Sanji or Jinbei?
Number like top three or bottom
No,
three?
no. So like, who is number
Oh, yeah,
3
thank you.
overall, Sanji or Jinbei? That is a debate that Dan likes to talk about.
It's always Luffy first, Zoro second. Who is
Obvious.
third?
I mean, Nico Ramen would definitely be third. But if I have to pick between those two, uh, I guess I would say Jinbei just because he helped him, when he went through that trial. Like if Jinbei wasn't there wouldn't have been no more Straw Hats. So I'm gonna say that he's number 3. Sorry, does cook well though, but yeah, I would say Jinbei. Plus he like
Okay.
navigates like everybody cook. I'm just kidding.
Everybody
Bold
could go.
choice.
Damn.
Bold choice.
I mean, that is what Dan thinks too. Dan thinks that Jinbei is the true number 3 on the team. You know, so I mean, he definitely has the experience, right? Like he's got the experience under his belt. Like he used to be warlord. Like
So Stan-
he's got a lot of things working for him. So, but yeah, I also see that you got like a Afro Samurai poster on the behind you.
Classic.
Yeah. So
Afro
did
Samurai.
you enjoy like Samuel L. Jackson like showing up in that?
Yes, yes, I did very much. Even when he was in, I think the Boondocks too. I was like, "Let's go." He watches hentai. He's a cool dude. I would like him in any
Really?
kind of anime. Online. Yeah. I'm sorry.
I actually didn't know that like he was, he was I
Fun
didn't
fact.
actually know that he like watched anime at all, let alone like hentai. So that's a pretty
Fun
fun
fact.
fact.
We're
So
learning here. Okay, this is
yeah.
an educational podcast.
But yeah, I seen that. I was like, that's pretty cool. Like I feel like not a lot of people actually watch Afro Samurai, right? Even though it's like such a great show, and it's got Samuel L. Jackson in it. Like, you need to watch it at least once if you haven't. It's got some fun scenes and with
Yeah,
Samuel Jackson. So
that's a fun anime. That's a good starter anime too. Actually, if you don't watch anime, watch Afro Samurai.
that actually is a pretty decent starter. It like if the people like really heavy action and stuff like that, and they uh like they haven't really watched anime before, you could probably give them this and it would kind of feel like real TV somewhat, especially since Samuel L. Jackson's in it. So
Oh yeah, most definitely. And he does a really good job too with his voice acting. Like
Oh
it
yeah.
really just goes to he's done a lot of different voice acting, but it really shows just how good he is to doing it in that.
yeah. So you don't have anything else, Nom, that you want to ask?
No, no, I
Okay.
think we're good, ready, set to go. Let's get to the real reason why we're here.
Before we go, I just want to give a second for Chanime to if she wants to, ask us any questions, maybe she's curious about something about us, So
Plot
if you have
twist.
any questions to ask us, let us know.
Hit me with the Uno reverse card here.
Are you right? Okay. Well, this is a fun question I like to ask people randomly. If you had a paintball team of 5 anime characters, who would they be?
A paintball team of 5 anime characters. Well, my first one would be, since there is a Suicide Squad isekai now, would be
You son
Deadshot.
of a bitch. I was gonna do that.
I mean, we have to throw Deadshot in there because he is technically an anime character now. So
Yep.
now I'm gonna let Nom pick a second one. We're gonna do like this. We're gonna do this like collectively. So
Okay.
Fuck, you took
Uh,
my first pick. Now I'm scrambling here.
I got
Gotta check
another
my
one.
notes.
If you want me to pick another one, Nom, I got another one already.
No, not yet. I'm gonna take Usopp.
Damn,
Well,
that's my second one.
Eat it. Now you know how I feel.
Yeah. So I mean that's 2 good ones already. I'm gonna stick with the One Piece world, and I'm gonna do Nom's gonna have to help me with his name, but Blackbeard's crew, the sniper.
now what is
What's
that
his
dude's
name?
Lafitte.
Okay. That's their third one, because that man is a sniper. He can hit shots, bro.
Okay.
Now Nom's got our 4th one.
I'm trying to think here. Oh, you know what? I know. There was a character in Gun Gale Online, sort of art alternative. The main character of that. God, what was her name?
Kirito.
Yeah. Her.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
I remember watching that and I was just like, man, that would be a really good pick.
Who'd you pick?
The main chick from Sword Art Online Alternative Gun Gale Online. Oh, it's not Kirito. No.
Sinon. I just looked it up. Sinon?
Yeah, the little chick.
Or Shino / Sinon or whatever.
I can't remember. It's been so
I'm
long.
assuming
Actually.
that's probably what it is. So
We know who
she
you're talking
looks.
about.
Yeah. I guess my fifth one would be Revy from Black Lagoon. You know, you gotta have a bad son of a gun on your team, right? And she's a bad son of a gun. So
she's on too. Like, point him out.
hell yeah. So I mean, I feel like that's a really good team. So
That's solid.
But do you have any other questions for us before we move on to Paprika?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Well, it is that time, the meat and potato time. You know, we're moving on to our review of Paprika. And we've actually watched 2 of Satoshi Kon's films on the podcast before. We've watched Tokyo Godfathers and Perfect Blue. That is me, Dan, and Bass. I don't think Nom has actually watched those 2 films. We did, though.
I'm sorry, chat.
So we figured it was actually time for us to watch the 3rd film. He's only got 4 that I know of, and our 3rd film is going to be Paprika. And this is actually an award-winning psychological film that was animated by Madhouse in 2006. So I feel like that 3 out of 4 of his shows that he's done was very psychological, with Tokyo Godfathers being the main exception. That wasn't really a psychological thing. You could definitely feel that he had a hand in it still, but it was on a different level than like Paprika, Perfect Blue, and even Millennium Actress. I haven't seen that one yet, but it seems like it is a psychological anime film too. So before we get started, though, I just want to let y'all know that there will be spoilers for this show. So make sure you watch this before you listen to this, unless you just don't care. This came out in 2006, so it's almost 20 years old. But if you haven't watched it before, you definitely should take an hour and a half out of your time to watch it. and it's actually free on YouTube, and I think it's free on Tubi TV as well. And but it has ads for both of them, but that's fine. The ads wasn't really invasive, I don't think, and it was only every once in a while. So,
Right.
um, but yeah, so that is your spoiler warning. Now we're gonna get started on the Paprika film review. And so I just want to ask, since we're getting started, have where did we have we heard about this movie before we actually decided to watch it? And like what was your expectations going into this? And I'll let either one of y'all start.
Sort of
So
live. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I heard about it 5 minutes before I decided to watch it. um, and that was literally 3 days ago. So my expectations were pretty high though, because a lot of people really talk highly about this guy's directing and his films and stuff like that, as well as just how everything plays out. So I had some pretty high hopes going into it. It was definitely something that was interesting though, to say the least. Really kept me interested.
Okay. What about
Your
you?
turn, Chantel.
I watched Perfect Blue first, and then I loved it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do a deep dive on this dude, and then I ended up watching all the other ones. So I watched it like maybe a few, no, more than a few. It's like 20 years old, like you said. Maybe like 10 years ago, maybe I watched it. So I didn't remember too much. So I rewatched it recently, like we were talking about earlier, a couple days ago, right before you guys invited me. So yeah, I've seen it twice now, and I liked it. It's pretty cool. I like the theme and like the character development and all like the animation, the vivid, like I like little things like that. So it's pretty cool. All the little details.
Okay. So your first like Satoshi Kon experience was like Perfect Blue, which mine was too. So um that's interesting. And like you sought out basically you sought out like his other films, and like this one was the next one pretty much is what you're saying.
Right.
Okay. And like my expectations going into this, I wanted like I felt like it was gonna be another kind of Perfect Blue type thing. I felt like we was gonna get our minds blown again. We was gonna be confused. Like that's how I felt when I first watched Perfect Blue. Right? Like Perfect Blue is the kind of like anime that you literally, if it's better if you watch it multiple times. Like it gets better each time because you actually understand more about what's going on to some extent. Like obviously you're not going to understand everything because that's what Satoshi Kon wants to do. So and like I said, like I mentioned before, this was animated about 20 years ago by Madhouse actually. And Madhouse, I'm a big fan of Madhouse. I've always been a big fan of Madhouse. I love the way they animate things, especially their older ones. And so I just want to know, like, how did this stand up through 20 years? How did all this look for us watching it 20 years later? I'll let Chanime go first this time. I should probably
Oh,
clarify.
I definitely think he was way ahead of its time. I mean, there's even animes that they make now today that still don't hit on that kind of like, rest in peace, because I would definitely have loved to see what he could do nowadays. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But that's definitely a classic. So it stands, it's on a pedestal, it's up there. I think it still stands the tell of time.
Okay. What about you, Nom?
Um, it was definitely dated. You could definitely see that it was an older produced film. Overall though, it held up still. It's not like it really took away from anything. It was still very well animated, very very carefully choreographed, and it really stands out. Even with all of its age still there, it still looked good and was still captivating. So it's not so much it was about the animation, but I think it really helps show just how good the storytelling was for it as well, because it really helped carry the movie.
Yeah. I mean, shout out like Madhouse because, like I said, I'm a huge fan of them, and like I feel like they've done a very good job on like most of the stuff that they've done. If I'm not mistaken, they was actually the animator that the studio that done all of Satoshi Kon's films so far. Um, and this was based essentially his last one, right? He had one more, and it never did come to be like completed or whatever because he did pass away. Um, so I'm glad that this actually looked really good, and like to me, I think that it looked better than like Perfect Blue, which was the one right before it. I think it looked pretty much it looked way better than Perfect Blue, honestly. It was like more smoother and stuff, but you can still tell it's kind of dated, like Nom said. But Madhouse always delivers. I feel like with the older and like they tend to make something that usually lasts a while, and you can watch it and you're like, okay, this actually looks pretty good still. So
Yeah, no, it was very well animated still.
yeah. So
Like,
what'd you say?
I'm not saying I agree. Sorry.
Okay. I didn't know if you was gonna. I didn't know if you was trying to say something. Uh, but before we get started, like on the deeper dive of stuff, I want to know, like, have we ever seen? Obviously, Chanime has seen like Perfect Blue. Um, what else have you seen? Perfect Blue.
I've seen that one. I think Paranoid Activity is his too, right? Don't
Yeah. I forgot about that one.
um and then the Tokyo one as well. It's like I'm missing one. No, yeah,
And
Perfect Blue,
Malin-
yeah. I've seen pretty
yeah,
much all. I went like on a binge after I watched Perfect Blue. I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch all of these now. But Paprika is the only one I've seen twice. So I kind of after we do this, I kind of want to go back and watch the other ones again too.
I feel like you need to watch Perfect Blue a second time too. So at least Perfect Blue.
Right.
I know Nam hasn't seen any of the other ones. Me myself, I've seen like Tokyo Godfathers and Perfect Blue. That's the only two I've seen. But I also want to know if we've seen Inception. Have we
Yes.
seen? Okay, and I think Nam's seen
Yeah.
Inception.
Yeah, I
So
went through a huge like Hollywood phase in the mid 2000s to like 2018. Movies were the only focus that I had in my life. I binged watched Inception I think I got the DVD somewhere around here.
It's
in a tote somewhere in a closet or whatever,
No,
because
I think it's actually just over in the corner where I have my whole collection of DVDs and Blu-rays.
because who
nice.
has a Blu-ray device anymore? I mean, not a Blu-ray, but a DVD device anymore.
Hey,
Hardly
we still
anybody.
we still
So,
have PlayStations and Xboxes. I don't want to hear it.
I'm just saying, it's cool.
yeah.
So, yeah, no, it's definitely hard though to not draw comparisons to this movie with Inception. Like like it's almost as though they basically just ripped the entire idea of the dreams and use that for Inception.
Okay. So it's been like a very long time since I've seen Inception. I probably watched it when I was really young, like a teenager or something. And I'm gonna be honest with you, like my memory's only gone downhill since. So I'm like a goldfish over here, can't remember shit. Um, but yeah, so that's basically what I want to know. I was hoping that y'all have remembered it, and and I'm kind of wondering like, do you think this movie was? I mean, this Inception was inspired by Paprika, basically.
What do you
Oh
think,
yeah.
Chanime?
Yeah. Did
There's even
did
like clips too where you can see like I remember I don't like I said my memory's not that great either, but I remember like they have like that big whole scene in Inception 2 and like when they're on the like even like they were saying like the building play in both movies is almost identical like during like when like the wreckage and stuff. They definitely drew a lot from Paprika like for sure.
okay?
Okay.
Is there any other similarities that you've been able to see, Nom?
No, outside of just the being able to go into dreams, even like the bigger guy, right? Tokita. He even made a comment about how it's not right to go in and mess with people's dreams or something like that. Or someone said it. I
I
can't
think the
Right.
remember who.
chairman said that, right?
He might have, but whoever said it, it was basically like the exact plot of what Inception was. Going into people's dreams and altering them, right? And the idea that they're doing is that they're going in to actually plant a new idea into someone's mind. The exact thing that that person said they did not like. So it's interesting to see too that there's like so much that happens in Paprika that is directly happening in Inception as well. There there are also rumors that it was meant to be a homage movie to Paprika.
Ooh.
So it's not ruled out that it's not possible. There's just no official confirmation of it being the actual like inspiration, but it's incredibly hard to not draw parallels if you've seen both those movies. Let us know what you guys think in the Discord. Discord.gg/Anime Degens.
Yeah. So I mean, it's pretty cool to see this because like this movie was done in 2006. I think Inception came out in 2010, and I guess they realized that this was a really fun like story or whatever, and maybe they wanted to go off of that. And we actually got to see like Leonardo DiCaprio, which is like a really amazing actor. So uh, we got to see him in it. Like I feel like they done it justice, even though I don't really remember it as much. But you know, for it to be like so popular and like so well known, it has to stay. It has to say something for that. So, um, we also got a little thing that like Dan wanted us to bring up. He heard us say Inception, and his mind immediately went to Rick and Morty. So I know that myself and Nam has seen Rick and Morty, but have you seen Rick and Morty, Chanime?
I've seen a few seasons. I
Okay.
saw that episode though for sure. What you're talking about actually.
Yeah. So like the Freddy Krueger esque episode with like the dude had the like ball sack chin or whatever, and I think he said like bitch a lot. I'm pretty sure. Like Dan wanted to mention that, and like he wanted us to compare it to that, but I don't think that compares, right? Because like it's
No.
Rick and Morty, so it's kind of hard to compare Rick and Morty to like Paprika. So it's like it's not the same. Like Rick and
It
Morty
can
was trying to be funny the whole time, and I don't think bitch was said once in Paprika. So
No, it's honestly just spoofing off of the concept of going into the dreams. Honestly, that's the only draw you can make to it. I'm sorry, Dan. I know you wanted more of a connection. There isn't one, okay? Don't look into it. It's just a gag.
it's a dumb gag anime comedy.
Too
No,
much
it's
Paprika.
but but no, this is way too serious of a movie for there to be any other parallel other than just going into dreams.
Hell yeah. So I I couldn't leave that out. Dan really wanted to know about it. So I think he's actually going to watch Paprika on his way home from wherever the hell he's at right now, somewhere in Europe. So,
Oh,
um,
nice.
yeah, he's on a work trip over there in Germany, Europe, all them places. So he's having the
Fun.
time of his life, probably.
Yeah, so
Um,
somewhat nice because it's still a work trip.
yeah. So also like so before we like get into some of the other stuff, I always want to ask too, like what we thought the theme was. And I'm gonna get this started. I thought the theme had something along the lines of like I seen some themes of like jealousy because like what's his name? Osuna, he was jealous of Tokita, the big guy. Also
Right.
like also I'm trying to remember Himuro. Himuro was jealous of the doctor, I believe, or the chief or whatever, the old man, I believe it was. Like there was a lot of
Right.
jealousy going on in the show. Like that's how most of the conflicts arose, I felt, was because of jealousy. And like obviously dreams, right? Like this is a huge it just has like a huge theme of dreams. That's what this whole show is about. Basically, it's like their dreams. Um, so like, what did y'all think? What do y'all think the themes was? Other,
I would say for me, I felt like I saw a lot of escapism in the movie and also like balance. Like, the movie kind of showed like, it's good to like go to like, your dreams and your movies, but not enough to where the point where like, it alters your reality. You lose that part of yourself. Like, especially with Chiba and Paprika, like that was her alter ego. And she was kind of losing her reality self, just deep diving into her dreams and like being Paprika. And in the movie just showing like you need to kind of find the balance between the two, or like the chairman who wanted to walk, so he was just so obsessed and like getting you into his dream and being able to walk versus being in the chair in the movie in reality. And that kind of like just overtook him, and he lost his reality self, which in a sense like ended up almost messed up the whole world. So I saw a little bit of that, I think, in there.
yeah. Also, like with the chairman, for example, like he was so against um like people altering dreams and stuff like that, right? Like he was so against like this thing, but he was like he wanted to use it so much. And I feel like since he was against it, like he shouldn't be using it that much, right? Do you think?
Right.
Do y'all think so too?
Oh, for
Oh
sure.
yeah, he
For
definitely like
sure.
abused that for someone who was coaching against it. That was crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think that also underlies into another theme that I think that is confrontation, right? Like a lot of these people are having to now confront something that was traumatic to them, something that was groundbreaking, that caused their psyche to turn to this desperate alternative, which now is ultimately creeping up into the forefront, and they have no choice but to face it. They've ran from it for way too long, and now there's no way to even escape that, because even in your dreams now it's the only thing that you're seeing and dealing with. And it was a constant recurring theme that they kept going back to as well, especially with like the whole theater scenes, and how the detective Konakawa was constantly over there and dealing with that, or how he would go to what is it, that one chat room online to meet with Paprika and stuff like that, and he was dealing with those bartenders and stuff like that.
Okay.
So it was, there was a lot of that, that as well. I felt even with like the chairman, right? He has to confront the fact that he's in the chair and he's not able to do so. So he turns to this power that he's championed against, and I think he's doing it so that way nobody else can really get in there and try and stop him before he has a chance to really obtain enough power.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Um, I kind of felt like there was like a theme of like I don't know how to put it, like not I guess like there was like a lot of mentions of like light and dark and like right and wrong and all that stuff too, especially at the end. Like they said like they had these like it felt like poems, right? Uh I think Paprika even like said it once right before she dove into her main body of Chiba, right? And then she like started getting bigger and all that stuff. She was like the missing spice is Paprika. Um, and I actually thought that was funny too because I didn't really get it. Yeah, I felt it felt like that was a that was sort of a joke, you know, that was thrown in there, like you know, haha, spice, paprika. Um, but I feel like that they meant something else by it as well, especially since they was like going off to like the light and dark, man and woman, uh, good and evil. Like they were saying all these things like that. So, but um, but I guess like since we talked about the like themes and stuff, were we able to follow the story pretty well? Or were we confused by it at all? I know Chanime had watched it twice. Me and Nam only watched it once, I'm pretty sure. Like so Nam, I guess I'll start with you. Like, were you able to follow the story pretty well? Like, was you confused by it? You know, which parts?
um I guess I had the advantage in this one with having a more clear memory of Inception. So it wasn't entirely too hard to follow. It was definitely very confusing though. There were a lot of parts that they just kept going back to, which honestly was a nice touch because it really helps like give you that sense of disconnect. And then when they started blurring the worlds of reality and the dreams, especially closer towards the end after the plot was starting to unravel, they did a really good job of keeping you on your toes too, because there was the one scene where Paprika got woken up and she was Chiba. Chiba goes somewhere, and then all of a sudden, I think it's the chairman. He stands up and gets like roots, and then all of a sudden, it's not Chiba, it's actually Paprika. She was never awake in the first place. So they did a really, really good job of finding a way to meld those two worlds together and really keep you guessing. Um, which is something that I think that just again knowing a lot of how Inception works and that whole movie, it helped me understand it. But someone who hasn't, I imagine that they're probably going to be a little bit more confused.
Okay. What about you, Chaname? Like, was you able to follow the story? Did it help? Like, was it helpful that you watched it a second time? Were you still like, were you confused with anything?
Oh yeah, the second time definitely helped because you already had the story or mind versus like a singer, like immersing yourself in it and just trying to catch every little detail. I kind of like, okay, I remember this part. You can kind of get like in a better detail. But I would say there were parts where a little confused, like you said, and like just plot twisters. Like I was not expecting the chairman to like be the main antagonist, I guess you would call him, in the end. Or even her liking oh boy, the big guy. That threw me for a win. I thought maybe she was gonna go for the cop or that and then what happened to Paprika too? I was like, oh, is she coming back? Is the chairman coming back? But it was pretty easy to follow. Definitely fun to watch. Like it was a dull moment like in almost throughout the whole movie. So yeah, it's definitely something you should watch twice. I would say that for sure. It's a little more helpful. You could find the little bits and nicks that you didn't miss, the first time.
Yeah, this is definitely something that should be watched twice. I wish that I had time to watch it twice. But I was so busy, like yesterday or whatever, and I was aiming to watch Inception too. I didn't get a chance to do that as well, and so like I came home last night, really late, and I actually started watching this, and I was like, no, like I'm too tired. Like, there's no way I'm having a hard time comprehending this right now, you know. So I just shut it off and I was like, I'll try again tomorrow when I'm awake. So uh so it's definitely something that you have to be like focused on or you are gonna get lost. Because like even when I was focused, I was kind of lost at times. But then I kind of got the hang of it, you know. I was like, okay, you know, this is sort of like perfect blue. So like I need to start paying a little bit more attention. I need to, you know, focus on what's actually going on. And like then I didn't have any issues trying to keep up with it, except until like towards the end, like when the world started blurring, like coming together, like merging. Then it started getting a little bit more confusing because it didn't tell us straight up like the worlds was merging until like after the fact that it started merging.
Right.
Like we like they come back from the dream world and then they started walking and then all of a sudden like shit weird shit started happening again and you're like are they in the dream world or are they in the real world because they said they come out because she smacked the dude or whatever and
Right.
like we thought that they was out but it kind of looked like they wasn't, but it turns out that it was merging together, and we just didn't know it at the time. And that's when I had to stop, rewind. I actually rewinded it a few times. I was like, did I miss something? You know, what's going on? So,
Right.
but y'all have any thing else to say about like any confusing parts or like anything like that?
No,
Okay.
it's a very hard show to or movie to keep follow of, and honestly, like everyone's gonna get confused at different parts.
Yeah.
So it's also really tough to remember every single part that confuses you because there are so many of them.
The whole movie
Honestly,
is confusion, bro.
exactly.
Yeah, the whole movie is just basically confusion. But like speaking of like the whole movie, so like I want to talk about scenes or like moments or anything like that that stood out for you. Like what are your faves? For me personally, like I really enjoyed like the first like 5 to 6 minutes or something like that. I believe it was when we get introduced to we just start like uh, the clown comes out of a little car. You're in the circus, and they're doing circus shit, and like it's just so like fast paced. Then they switch to the Tarzan thing and the other thing, and they're hitting the dude on the head one after another. And then after all that's done, like we find out that that's a dream, right? And then like the scene where Paprika she left and she's like skipping through the town or whatever and that's the first time we heard the music playing, right? And like that's probably my favorite part of the movie, honestly, because it was so like it was so cool. Like the music started playing, it was just her like skipping around like you think that we're in real life, right? And she's literally just like hopping on like TV screens and hopping inside of t-shirts and like it's just so weird. And like I was like, so what are we doing? Are we still in a dream? Like this is their introduction to this, right? And I'm just like, okay, this is super fun, right? Like it sounds cool. It's just really super fun. So I guess with that being said, like I'll let Nam go first this time and like tell us like what is like your favorite scene or like moment or just anything that stands out to you that you can recall.
um, it would probably have to be the scene that I was mentioning earlier, where um they are investigating the big parade of dreams that are gathering. Right.
Okay.
Little bit of a plot spoiler there. We'll cover that, I imagine, a little bit, but we uh we see Paprika investigating it all. She tells the chairman, "Wake him up, or wake me up, get me out of here." And then she wakes up. They go and investigate, they see the chairman, and then he stands up, and it turns out Chiba is actually just Paprika the entire time. That part there, I felt was a really, really good job of helping to start the biggest confusion within the movie. What is reality? What is a dream? Are they even in reality at all to begin with, right? Let's put a little inception twist on this now. Have they ever actually been in reality recently? We
Good
don't know.
question. Yeah, good
We
question.
don't know. So that part alone, I feel really, really helps stand out the most, and it's probably one of my favorite like whole interactions. I would say I can't even call it a scene because it's a lot more drawn out than just one single scene. But that whole interaction, I feel, is like my favorite.
Yeah, I think that when that scene actually happened, they like she tells him to wake up, right? And like she thinks that she woke up, and she's not actually woke up, and they realize that like she's still in a dream, and that's when she meets the chairman, right? Is that the same thing you're talking about, kind of?
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Well, that's when we first find out that like the chairman is behind it, and like Osana was the helper or whatever, right? And then
Yep.
like it gets even deeper into that side because she actually didn't get out of the dream like she thought she did. So because he stands up and like his legs are like a tree trunk or some shit. So
Yep. And she was just getting attacked by a tree moments
yeah.
before she woke up. So yeah,
So
that I would say is mine. What about yours, Shaname?
Um, I have two. My first one, I definitely loved the parade, like all the little intricate details. It kind of gave me Studio Ghibli vibes. I enjoyed watching that because I know it takes a lot of work to make scenes like that, so I definitely appreciated that. And also, too, I think it's right before your scene where keep forgetting his name, but the guy that she loves, the bigger guy. She's with
Fukuda.
him. Yeah, sorry, thank you. And they go into like the other scientist's house, the one that I guess got lost in the originally. And then they go, you see like the little colorful drawings on the wall, and she walks in the thing, and all of a sudden, boom, they're in a dream. But like you said, they were in reality, so we're like, whoa, what's going on? Like, what happened? And then that was one of my other favorites because it kind of like it was almost like an eerie feeling when you're watching it, like, oh, what's gonna happen when they go into that door? You know, this dude's house is creepy, it's full of dolls, like, and then they walk through the door and then boom, instantly in the dream world. Like, where did that transition come from? You know, like how did this happen? Was it through the door? Like when were they in reality originally? Like you said, like that was one of my favorite scenes too. Like, definitely it twisted me up a little bit.
Yeah, and like to go off that, at the time we didn't actually know that they could like enter dreams. I guess invade dreams while they was awake, and so we actually didn't know that uh that she was in a dream because she was awake. Like we were supposed to be in the real world at the time, and like when she tried to jump over the railing, because she thought that it was a dream. I mean, she thought that it was like she was in real life, but she was in a dream. And when she jumped over the railing, she was trying to jump off the railing, and like she would have obviously plummeted down how many ever like floors, probably to her death. I'm not sure. Um, so I mean, that was a fun way to introduce uh like the invasion of dreams, right? Or like the injection of dreams, I guess you can say, because that's the first time we really see somebody not asleep getting, coming going into the dream world essentially. So and also like during this time we see like Paprika like warning her. She was like, that's dangerous or whatever. And she was like, she just didn't listen to her. And you're wondering, is this a dream? Like, why is Paprika here? At the
Right. Yeah,
time we didn't really know. So what'd you say?
I was like, because she remember she fell off, but then she reached out for it, and I was like, whoa, wait, that's you. What's happening?
Yeah. So that was a fun scene too. Like that was our first little taste of the trickery that Satoshi Kon was given to us. throughout the whole show. So, um, is there anything else, like any other scenes that y'all thought was like that stood out?
Mhm. The butterfly scene tripped me out. Like when she's in his room and then he like goes like up inside her. I was like, oh man, what is happening? That one kind of then he surprised it's Chiba on the inside. That one was a nice little like little part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
So
not surprised.
I actually was gonna we were gonna talk about that. So because I feel like that is like one of the weirder scenes in this movie, right? Like we obviously get a lot of weird scenes in this show, but this scene was, in my opinion, the weirdest one because like you literally see his hand like go inside her, and then like he just like runs his hand up her like body to her head, and you can see like his outline of his hand under her skin, and he gets to like the top of her head, and she just like busts open, and there was Paprika inside. I mean, not Paprika, but what's her name, Chiba was inside, right? And you're like, what the, what's going on, you know? Like so I kind of wanted to know, like, how did we like this scene? Like, did it creep us out? Like, how did we feel about this scene? Essentially, I'll let you start, Chanime, since you're the one that brought it up.
Oh yeah, no, it tripped me out. At first I thought, we're it was gonna, just usually touching her like some, non-consensual stuff that I didn't appreciate. But then he went up in her, and I was like, oh, what's really happening? And then he kept going. It had me in suspense. I literally was sitting there quiet the whole time, just like, wow, what's really. That was definitely one of the most, like you said, like creepy or intricate, like memorable scenes in the movie, for sure. Uh, it was crazy too because everybody else was so in love with like Paprika, but then he was into like the actual doctor, you know what I mean? So I was like, okay, and all the
Yeah,
butterfly.
yeah. I was fixing to say like what was even like creepier, right? Was like he was in the room, and like they literally had like a butterfly collection, right? And like she was like had the wings of like the fairy or whatever, because that's what she was doing before she was captured. And he like had her pinned down just like the butterflies was essentially. And I was like, this is weird. Like I definitely thought that, because Satoshi Kon, um, in Perfect Blue, he didn't really shy away from um like showing us like a scene like that, like, sexual assault and stuff like that, because he did it in Perfect Blue. So I kind of thought that's where we was going. I was like, man, like I hate this, because I always hate it when they show us stuff like this. And even though they done like a little bit of it, they didn't really go there. So I was grateful for that. But we ended up having like the weird scene where like his hands just running up her body. Like, I don't know, that like that's super creepy to me. So um, I literally was like, I had like chills and shit. I was like, bro, this is some wild shit that I'm seeing right now. So what about you,
Yeah.
Nom?
Yeah, no.
How'd you feel about that hand butterfly scene?
It was more than enough watching it one time. So I think if I do another rewatch, I'm probably gonna just skip that part again. Cause yeah, I did not expect it to go the way that it did, but it while it was jarring, it wasn't anything too over the top. So it was definitely fitting for the premise of the movie. I'll give it that. Like
Okay.
everything else was incredibly twisted and messed up.
Okay.
Honestly, it was pretty on par, I feel. Like is the strangest moment, don't get me wrong, but hey, it could have been something much, much worse. It was just something that was more disturbing
Right.
instead.
Yeah. And like I said,
So
I thought we was gonna go that route because we did get a scene like that in Perfect Blue. So
well,
um
and how they started it too, it definitely seemed like that's how it was gonna go as well.
yeah. So I'm glad that even though I hated this scene, you know, I'm glad that it went that way because the alternative was even worse. So, um, but I was gonna ask, like, is there any scenes that you didn't like? That's the one that I was gonna bring up, because I didn't really care for that one. Um, like, so do y'all have any more scenes that you didn't really care for, like moments?
Uh, maybe like when I forgot his name, the other dude that was originally lost in dreams, he kept popping up on all the dolls. I was getting like wigged out because I don't really like those kind of dolls anyway. And then like I don't know, it was weird. Like his face kept popping up in all of them, and like they were talking. I was like, all right, it was making me cringe a little bit. That'd be like probably only other scene, but it definitely didn't top the butterfly scene. That was yeah, that was something.
What about the scene in the beginning when um our detective guy Kanakawa gets trapped in the cage and like all the people starts running at him and they all have his face. Did y'all enjoy that? That was definitely a freaky moment too. So
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, this is where we're going.
great introduction, by the way. But no, do you have anything that you didn't like really, like any scenes or anything like that?
No, not really. I mean, it was.
Okay.
I felt like it was a pretty good movie overall. He knew what he was going for. He executed on it. It didn't need to be any longer. It didn't need to be any shorter. He nailed it. Is what he did. So
Okay. Um,
honestly, like yeah, you can't really have any of that movie without every single scene that's been shown so far.
um, you know, I wanna also talk about like one of the big things of this movie, right? And that is like Chiba and Paprika. Um, you know, we don't really we when we first started watching the movie, we don't really know that they're connected, right? Um, we just start seeing like Chiba walking around or whatever, and like Paprika pops up every now and then, but you know they kind of act like they're like individual, and so I want to know like when's when did we start to notice that they was the same person essentially, and so I guess Nam, when did you start noticing?
When she saved the chairman and she went to the hospital, like Chiba went to the hospital to check in on the chairman, and he was like, "Tell Paprika I said thank you." That that right there is when I realized I was like, "Oh, okay, so it's just like her dream self."
Okay, yeah. I also picked up on when it was like through a conversation, and it's when somebody, I forget who it was, but they was like I like Paprika, or you should act more like Paprika, right? I think they said. I don't know who said that, but that's when it clicked. I was like, wait a minute, why are they saying that? That's awful weird to be saying, you know, unless Paprika is actually you, and that would make sense because like we see Paprika talking to you or whatever, and she doesn't really do that to anyone else unless they're in their dreams. So, but what
Mhm.
about you, Shauna? Like, when did you notice? I know you watched it twice, but like the first time or even the second time, like, when did you notice?
Um, I feel like I noticed it when the chief and the investigator, they were talking because he was talking about Paprika, and then they start talking about Chiba, and it kind of clicked. Like, oh wait, these are the same person. It took me a while. It was basically when they like kind of just put it out there. I was like, oh, this makes sense now. Um, was talking about how beautiful she was, and then well, actually, basically, when the investigator figured it out, that's when I figured it out. I was like, oh, okay. 'Cause I thought they were two different people for a hot minute.
Oh yeah. Okay. So when like when they was all in the same room and he's like he stared at her or whatever when she come in, right? Is that the scene you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Um and also like This show, it didn't really like tell us, right, that Paprika and Chiba was the same person. Like I think it finally did, like around the end scene, like when she actually merged with her other body. Or no, actually, when she got split apart, right? That's the first time we actually like got confirmation that they was the same person. Other than that, like they didn't tell us. They gave us clues, and then that was it. That was when we knew for sure that she was that person. So, um, and so I guess speaking of like that stuff around that time, I want to also talk about the ending. So like when the world was merged with each other because there was like a hole created, right? And so like the hole got created basically around the same time is that when Osana got shot by Kanakawa, right? So I'm just curious, like, do y'all think that like the hole was created because Kanakawa shot Osana in like the dream sequence? Um, or do you think it's because like all of the dream interference that was going on?
I think it was the dream interference personally. That
Okay.
there was just way too much of it, and with it dissipating in one collective area, there's going to be repercussions. You can't just
Okay.
have everything perfectly, and not even in Dream World.
What about you, Shanami?
Yeah, I can agree. That is an interesting transition though, because he shot him in the dream, and then he started bleeding. I was like, "Whoa, wait, what's happening? Like, is this a dream? Is he really dying? Like, is or like sometimes you die in your dreams and you die in reality type of thing." I was like, "What's going on?" And then we see the dudes jumping off the balcony, and then we see the big hole. I was like, "Oh," but I would say maybe yeah, it's more like with the dream reality emergence and the chairman going nuts and stuff. Probably was the big hitter.
Yeah. So like I thought maybe that was the case, but I really like to believe that it is actually because like just like you said, he was shot in a dream world, but like he was in reality and he was still shot, like he was bleeding and stuff. And then we see him back with the chairman, right? And and it's in the real world because the chairman cannot walk. And like when he fell over and essentially died or whatever in the chairman's bedroom, he fell over into a hole that was being made at the same time. And so that's kind of why I thought maybe that him being shot in the dream world was the start of the hole, because like he literally fell in the hole and created the hole essentially at the same time. It seemed like to me. But
Yeah, but think about this, right? With him gathering so much of that dream power, he's the origin point. He is ground zero. Yeah, he was basically the bomb that set off the initial dream like dissipation that would have caused the hole in the first place. His death would have set it in motion, but it's not because he died.
oh, it's because of, yeah, okay. I got you.
So he might
That
have been
makes
a
more sense.
catalyst. Yeah, he might have
So,
been the catalyst for it, but he definitely was not the cause, I feel. He ain't that important. Don't give him that much power.
he was pretty important, obviously, because like the chairman literally couldn't have created this whole plan if Asuna hadn't stole those DC minis. So um
Right.
another thing that I want to talk about is like the scene where uh like essentially the baby Chiba, uh like me I almost called her Mina, but Paprika like joins Chiba's body inside of the Tokida robot, right? And she becomes big, a big baby, and she starts like sucking in like all the hole basically, and she starts getting bigger and bigger, and she ends up like eating more and more, and she grows as big as the chairman was at this time. Where he looked like a giant titan, a giant like black, dark, evil. I would assume like it was meant to show us that he's evil, Titan thing. And she like starts sucking him up through his arm, and like she just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and she finally just like absorbed him, swallowed him up, basically eat him, and like that was kind of like the end of it. Like she kind of absorbed the chairman, she absorbed the whole, and like the world, and the world's unmerged, I guess you can say, but it still kept the damage that was caused. It seemed like it created a lot of damage. So I'm just curious, how did we feel about that ending? Like, was we satisfied that it ended like that? Was we kind of confused? Um, do you think like the chairman and Paprika are like gone from reality now? Like, what are your thoughts on that whole situation? And I'll let Chanime go first this time. See what she has to think about it.
Uh, I would say I was pretty satisfied with the ending. There was a little bit of confusion, like you said, like what did happen to Paprika, what happened to the chairman, but as you would go throughout the whole movie, it's kind of expected to have an ending like that. You know what I mean? Because he kept us on a loop for so long. I wouldn't expect the ending to just be like, all right, all the answers are clear. Like, no, he's gonna leave us with a little bit of, food for thought.
Yeah. Okay. So like, Nom, what do you think? What did you think, bro?
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It it was really hard to follow. Paprika made that cheesy comment about how
It's
the
missing
only spice
spices.
the only spice missing is paprika or something like that. Merges, and then you get the two perverts, the fucking Konokawa and Shima, and they're like, "What is that? I don't know, but it's definitely a girl." They're clearly looking up, you fucking perverts. So, but overall, like the whole scenario also was just very, very confusing. Why is she sucking up all the energy and
Well, how is she able to? That's one of my questions. Like, how are you able to suck the hole up and suck the evil chairman up or whatever? Like, what gave you the power to do that? Right?
the power of paprika? It's
Right.
the
I
missing
And why
guess.
didn't she
spice.
too?
What'd you
It's
say?
like, why didn't she do it earlier if she knew that she could do that?
That too.
Right. Like, it
Yeah.
just that didn't make sense for me either. I just wanted to point that out while you was talking. So
It was a very confusing ending for sure.
yeah. And like to go off of that is like that's one of the problems I had with it too, which I know Satoshi Kon likes to like leave things up for you to decide or whatever. And like he definitely did it here, but I feel like I wanted to know just a little bit more about like that situation. Like, did it? So the only thing that I can think of, the reason why she was able to do it. Well, we've seen like in previous situations, she goes into other people's dreams, right? And she's like, usually if you go into somebody else's dreams, you're in their world essentially. And she was, I guess, strong enough, or like, she was strong willed. I'm not sure what it was, but she was able to actually manipulate these dreams, even though they wasn't her dreams. And so the only thing that I can think of is that since the dream world and the real world merged at the time, that that was essentially sort of like a dream world, and that she manipulated it into being able to do what she did. That's the only thing I can think of. That's it. Like, and I think that kind of makes sense because in reality, like that was kind of like the chairman's dream, right? I guess, and she just kind of like manipulated it and made it into her dream essentially, with the power. Like she, uh, what are those like what Frankie does, like docking. She basically like docked, made made a giant mecha of herself. But
That's an interesting take. I'll just leave it at that.
But yeah, that's kind of how I felt about it. That's kind of the ideal I got from it. Maybe that's the only thing I could think of. You know what I mean? So, and as far as like, I really do think that like Paprika is gone now. It feels like so. I feel like that she took him out and just like disappeared or whatever, and he can't come back now because she's not back, and so which is interesting, because a lot of people really like Paprika. So, but then also again, like, how was Paprika able to do all that? Like she was special. Like how? Why was she that special? So, but another point. We only got like a couple more things before we like wrap this up. Another point that I want to talk about is Kanakawa. Like how did we feel about Kanakawa and the part that he played as detective in this movie? Because you know, other than secretly using Paprika to figure out like why he was having his nightmare, he kind of shouldn't have been there, right? Like he was only there by chance because he used Paprika on the suggestion of his friend, which was like the old man doctor thing. And they was friends from college, I believe it was. And that's the only reason. That's the only the point of connection that he had. But the thing is like because of that, he was able to help so much. Like he was such a huge help in like the story. Like he saved Paprika from Osani. Like he was there at the end when like the worlds merged, and we actually got to see like his past getting. They showed us his past. They tied it up. Like so, how did we feel about him and his character? Did we enjoy what they showed us? What did we like about it? Did we enjoy that more than some of the other things that was going on? So
I don't know. I feel like you said, he was kind of useless for the most part. um
but he did
say-
save Paprika that one time, right? By kissing her or whatever.
to put any other person in that role and they would have done just fine. You could have even made it an extra, right? You didn't even have to make him a main character. Um Personally, I liked the little thing that they did. I did find it that his involvement was probably more confusing than anything else, which is probably what really helped the movie in general, right? Um, he's constantly there using Paprika. He's constantly involved with her, so he's gonna intertwine himself with her. But he's also sitting there, and it's showcasing, a lot of um the conflict theme that I was talking about earlier too, because he's the one I feel that struggles with it the most. But he's also the one that's actually trying to use this program actively how it's supposed to be used as well.
But secretly, illegally, sorta.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, the chief said it's okay, so
What about you? What about you, Shawname?
Yeah, I mean his role was definitely questionable. I did enjoy watching him though, and even like the end scene where he bought the movie ticket after he said he didn't like movies, like that was a little confusing. I did like how he showed all of his other movies though in like on the theater screen or whatever, but I was a little confused by his role, especially as they kept going back and back to his dreams. I'm like, what is the like what is the sauce? Like what do we got going on with this? Keep showing, him going back to thing. We never found out if he did the victim or not, you know what I mean? So yeah. Could have did with him, could have did without him, but it worked itself out, I'd say.
So I wanna answer a little bit of your confusion. Uh, the reason why he didn't like movies was because also the reason why he didn't like the number 17 is because when he was 17 years old, him and his I guess best friend at the time decided to direct a film or whatever, and they got like halfway through it, and he realized that his friend was so much better than him at a lot of different things. Like he was popular, he got the girls, like he was smarter, blah blah
Yeah.
blah, all that good stuff. And he actually lost his confidence, and like he backed out of the movie and kind of left his friend hanging. And then like that's when he decided to like become a police or whatever, a detective essentially. I'm pretty sure. And then his friend actually went on and he uh, got accepted into like directing a film school or something like that, and he ended up dying from I'm not sure what they said, but he ended up dying maybe from they just said sickness. I'm pretty sure,
He passed
and
away, yeah.
yeah,
Um, and I'm
and
pretty sure one other element too is that that film that they were working on was actually the project for his friend to get in, because he said he felt a lot of regret over not helping
Oh,
him finish because
I
he never
that's that.
told him that's what it was for.
yeah, and he also said that like he felt like he betrayed his friend because he wanted to be a director too or whatever and like he went a different path because he wasn't as confident, and that's why he was so scared of the number 17 throughout the show, because that happened when he was 17 years old. And that's why he, even though he was such a big movie fan or a movie buff, and like he wanted to be a director when he was younger and stuff, that's why he got so upset when he didn't want when Paprika wanted to go to the movies, is because he remembered his friend and how he let him down essentially. And that's kind of why we got that one scene at the end as well when his friend shows up after it's all said and done and told him, like it's okay, like basically I forgive you. You went and I done my thing directing, and you went and done the real thing as being a detective. And I thought that was pretty cool. Um and like you said, he went and bought the tickets at the very end, and like it was super cool that they showed all of Satoshi Kon's like works too. Like that was really cool. And it's just sad that like he even like put out, that was a really cool advertisement, right? He advertised his next movie, the movie that he was currently working on, which was Dreaming Kids or whatever. And but he passed away before he was able to actually release it, which is pretty sad. But the thing is like he put that in there, like he was like a genius, and like he was able to like promote his own shit in this movie and make it seem make it fit. That's genius.
Yep. Dreaming Machine is what it was called.
Yeah. Well, they said Dreaming Kids in the movie. I mean, in the film, but it was actually called Dreaming Machines. Yeah. Um. Do we have anything else to say about like that whole situation, Kanakawa, like what he has going on, any of the movies or anything like that?
No, I think we covered it pretty well.
Okay. Uh,
He's not a very
one
interesting guy.
one last thing before we like wrap this up, and Chanime hit on it earlier, and that was like the romance aspect, right? Because at the end of this anime and this film, they just added the romance aspect with Chiba and Tokida. Chiba is obviously, Paprika. Tokida is like the genius, one of the smartest guys or whatever. He's the big dude. And I guess what I want to ask is like, Do y'all feel like this was necessary in this? Did it belong?
What do you think, Shaname?
Uh, I don't know. I think it. Well, the reason I would say yes is because maybe he is kind of what brought her back to reality versus bringing like I was talking about, like the escapism murder. Like she was kind of avoiding him and the romantic feelings and reality, and then that kind of like tied into her saying like, okay, here I'm back in reality. I got a love life now. Like I'm not, just all in my dreams and stuff like that. Was it necessary? No, but it was a nice little touch. It was a surprising touch too, because that I thought maybe she was gonna take the investigator. Definitely not the chief. I know he wasn't in the running, but I was not expecting that for sure. Actually, when I was like, wait, him? Like, oh, okay, I'm for this. Let's go.
You're breaking the Chiefs' heart.
Oh,
He
no, I'm
really wanted to
sorry.
be in the running.
He did
Um,
though.
I don't think that it was necessary. I've never been a big fan of romance being thrown into something at the end of a thing, right? If it's going to be a focal point, make it a focal point all throughout it. There's a lot of movies I feel that get ruined by just adding in that romantic aspect. So I'm glad that it was only at the end and it wasn't like it was a huge thing. I imagine that, like you said, that there was definitely more of a story reason behind it, but I still didn't feel that it was necessary. Go Tokita, go
Yeah.
Tokita. You hit big, bro. Um, way to go. Don't let go is all I can say. But other than that, that's yeah, no, it really did seem to just kind of be like almost thrown in there, I feel, near the
Yeah.
end. Like
And
like they tried building up to it, but it didn't do a good job of doing that.
yeah, and that's kind of what I thought too, is that I thought it came out of nowhere. So like I know we had a few moments that built up to it. Like Nam said, we had like Osanaz saying that he loved her or whatever. He had uh like we had a couple hints here and there basically, but overall like she never did, like it never did seem like she liked him like that. It seemed like she respected him, and like she like basically called him a kid, all throughout the show or whatever. And she was kind of like nagging at him too, like when he was like eating all that stuff. She was like, he was or she was basically was like, you need to stop eating, like and stuff like that. And like it just felt like I don't know, it felt like not a girlfriend type thing or type relationship. It felt like more like a respected
Fatherly.
colleague.
Right.
Yeah, motherly, even a motherly in like thing going on. And for them to like just throw that in there like at the end, it felt like it was out of the blue. And I don't really think that it was necessary because like what did that show us, right? Like that literally didn't show us hardly anything that about anything really. Like it was just like there, and I'm just like okay, like I didn't see it coming, but like it didn't like affect the show negatively, but like what did it give us? It didn't really give us anything. So it just like got interjected, it seemed like. Maybe
Yeah.
that's Satoshi Kon's way of like putting a dream into our heads. I don't know. But yeah, I had to ask that because I did think it was a little weird that they just threw that in there. But like Nam says, shout out Tokida. Like he definitely got a bargain there. He definitely got a good deal because somebody like him, like just a genius, right? In a kid's body, just let alone that. Like it's so hard to be in a relationship with another human being when you're at that level, right? You just can't like you just can't like be normal with people because you're always thinking about like the next thing or whatever. So I'm sure it's going to be a fun ride for them. um, but with all that being said, now this is when we get to like the last questions of the day. Did we enjoy this show? Last thoughts, what we would rate this show, all that good stuff. And who wants to go first?
Um,
Nom?
I'll go first. I enjoyed it. I highly enjoyed it. Being that there was that familiarity with the basis of the plot, it definitely helped ease me into it. Even with the older animation style, um, I felt like they really, really understood what they were going for with the animation style, and that Satoshi Kon really, really drove home exactly what he was trying to do with this movie. Um, there were quite a few times where I had to rewind just to kind of get a glimpse of how things really played out, which is not something that I do very often. If I like, if I'm too deep in a game, I might restart like an episode of an anime, but I don't really do it too much with movies because I usually pay pretty close attention. So I'll give that one some pretty high credits because of that. And there's a lot of strong themes that they definitely covered throughout the movie that they covered very, very well too, especially with like the whole high fantasy aspect that they decided to go with the whole dream world, right? um for my rating, I'll give it a 7. It's a solid
Okay.
movie, don't get me wrong. I don't think that it's anything that's going to be much higher than that if your thing isn't necessarily going for psychological thrillers, but if you're a fan of Inception, you could definitely get into this one. It's something that you'd be able to follow along with very well and enjoy. Um, I honestly like it's hard to say the kind of people and anyone who really likes really twisted and puzzling kind of shows. I feel would really get into it. People that like classical stuff, that like a very particular director style, because there are people that do follow just a particular director. I did it myself actually with Christopher Nolan. So it's interesting though, just to see this movie, almost 18 years after it actually aired and still be able to actually enjoy it like I did. I don't know if I could recommend it to a lot of people just because of, again, the age of the animation, but if you can get past it, definitely were worth watching, I would say.
Okay. What about you, Chanime? What would what would you rate this show? Obviously, hopefully you enjoyed the show. Uh, all that good stuff. Give us your closing thoughts.
if I had to rate it, I would definitely give it at least an 8. It won awards. Kept me enticed, nice brain food throughout the whole film. I was on my toes for pretty much a good bit, and I've seen a lot of animes to keep me on my toes like throughout most of the film. That's good. I like the details and the graphics, even though it was, like you said, a 20-year-old movie. It's still like, it was very intriguing. Vivid colors and all the little details, like I said in the parade. It was cool. Like I said, maybe would I recommend it to everybody? No, but if you're into that kind of like weird, borderline cringy, psych thriller stuff, anime, then I would recommend it to you. If you like Made in Abyss, then maybe you should watch this because it kind of has that same like, well, off-putting but still definitely intriguing vibe to it. But I definitely enjoyed this. So it was my second time watching it. So, and I've seen most of his other work too. So, yeah, I liked it. I'd recommend it if that's kind of your vibe. Uh, yeah, that's about my notes. Definitely enjoyed talking about it with you guys too.
Hell yeah. I guess for me, I guess I would probably give it an 8 as well. because I did really enjoy it. I feel like this is a show, like I've said before. I said it with Perfect Blue. Like I feel like you need to watch it more than once, in order to just like the first time just watch it and like try to pay attention as best you can, and then the second time is when you're actually gonna be able to understand it better and find all the details that you may have missed the first time. And I feel like that's a better show then. But it's definitely an 8 for me. I feel like that uh, also can't recommend it to like everyone. There's like a certain group of people that would and really enjoy this show. Like if you like Inception, like Nom said, like you're gonna love this show because it is what inspired Inception, essentially. And like I feel like if you liked Satoshi Kon's other works like Perfect Blue, you would really enjoy this too. Even though like Perfect Blue, like I would recommend that to anyone, honestly, because like even though like that's hard, like that's just as hard to keep up with, you got to pay attention still. I feel like Perfect Blue is just a so much better show. Um, Whereas this show is like good, but it's not on Perfect Blue's level as far as like Satoshi Kon goes. But it's still good though. Satoshi Kon, like I said, was a genius. Anybody can do like what he does, like and just mess with your mind like that. Like that's a genius. So, um,
Um, fun fact, actually. So, in regards to Dream Machine, right? Um, there was actually talk that in I think it was like 2016 or 2018 from Madhouse. There is no plans for them to start it with any Japanese director because none of them can match Satoshi Kon's style
obviously,
yet.
yeah,
But he has not ruled out foreign directors.
I
So there is still
gotcha.
a chance that that one might actually come out with his heavy influencing, um, and then go from there.
Yeah, because I mean, I would want to see it, because I mean, like literally in the show, he was like, "It's one of the best movies ever," or whatever is what Paprika told
Right.
Kanakawa. So, um, kind of gets you hopped up for it, like. But it's a shame that we never did get to see it because, obviously, like Satoshi Kon passed away, unfortunately, which is crazy because like if he didn't pass away, like where would he stand today? Like he after only making like a handful of shows and the last one being this one, I believe it was in 2006. Like that's 20 years ago. Imagine like if he was still alive and if he was still creating shows with this like caliber of directing, like where would he stand? Like he would be probably close to the top. He would probably be up there with like Studio Ghibli, Miyazaki. So,
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
yeah, but but unfortunately, like we don't get to see that, sadly. Uh, but like I said, if you haven't ever seen any of his other shows, you should go definitely check those out. Perfect Blue, all that good stuff because he's a master. He's a mastermind. Um, and I guess with that being said, like that's it for our review of Paprika. That's it for the show. Um, One last thing before we go, I want to let Chanime shout out her stuff one more time, and I'll give the floor to you. Give them your second elevator pitch.
Second elevator. Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you like anime and pretty girls, you should watch my channel. I mean, that's easy math. Um, yeah. Definitely follow me on YouTube, Instagram, Threads. My Threads is a little more wild and like free run, so if you're into that kind of thing. And actually, if you don't like Negro Robin, don't follow me on anything. But if you do, definitely come check me out. Thank you guys again for having me. It was a good time.
Hell yeah. And like she gives out really good recommendations on her channel and stuff, and like her Threads account. I don't really like use Instagram too much, but I use Threads a lot and like she's really fun to interact with. So I would definitely, go follow her on Threads because it is a fun time. She goes to like all kinds of cons and like fun like food places and stuff. She went to like the One Piece restaurant, I believe it was, which was really
Hey,
cool. You know,
that was
yeah.
so much fun. Yes.
Yeah. And so we kind of get to like live through Chanime essentially, you know, because I can't go to all these places. So I just got to live through her and enjoy what she enjoys basically. But all her links will be in the description, like I said. And like usual, tell your friends to rate the podcast. Um, you know, tell your friends about us. You know, like the video if you're listening on YouTube, rate us on Spotify, all that stuff. Make sure you go follow Chanime. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Linktree.com/Anime Degens, and we'll see you on Tuesday. Peace.
Bye.
振り払って街を歩く無数の影雨の中で立ち尽くして